Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Pluto in astrology. Now, Pluto in astrology rules power, control, regeneration, rebirth, death, subversive activity, transformation, and where Pluto is placed in our natal charts can show where we may have a strong desire to transform or control. Let's say someone has Pluto in their natal first house. Well, there may be a strong desire to transform the physical body. Pluto can also be about fixated and obsessive energy. So let's say that someone may be obsessed with making major changes to the physical body. It could be someone that may be fixated, say, on working out vigorously and consistently trying to change their physical body, their appearance. It could be somebody that really might be so fixated and obsessed with their physical body that they just never seem like they're quite happy or satisfied with it. They got to always keep making these major changes connected with it. So anyway, well, another thing is, as far as in general now with aspects to Pluto, let's say if Pluto has predominantly good aspects in a natal chart, the person may have very good control over things in their life. They may be someone that's very resilient, is able to make major changes in their life when necessary, and having good power and control over their life in general. Now, however, if Pluto makes predominantly adverse aspects in a natal chart and is strongly afflicted, the person may succumb to manipulation by others, and also may also be manipulative. The person may be involved in a lot of power struggles, crisis, and they might have trouble just simply in gaining power and control in their life. Now, let's take some individual aspects to Pluto, for example, as they are significant as well. Now, let's say that Pluto making an adverse aspect to the moon in one's chart. Let's say Pluto makes a square opposition or even an inconjunct to one's moon. Now, this person may be strongly about emotional manipulation or may succumb to that. There may be power struggles with the mother, dominant women in the person's life, and perhaps power struggles with home and family in general. So people prominent in their home life, I should say, and family in general. Now, another example. Let's take Pluto making an adverse aspect to Mercury in one's natal chart. Now, this could be a person, people that have this aspect, some of them may be very mentally obsessed and fixated on things. In isolated cases, there may be some compulsive obsessive issues as well. Now, talk about Pluto retrograde. If someone has Pluto retrograde in one's natal chart, the person may express issues of transformation inwardly as opposed to outwardly. Power and control issues may not be exhibited outwardly as strongly as somebody that has Pluto as opposed to somebody that has Pluto in direct motion as opposed to retrograde. Retrograde motion, in other words, what I'm saying is those power control issues, they may be a little bit more hidden and not expressed outwardly as opposed to Pluto direct. Now, it could also be, I'm going to talk about Pluto intercepted. Now, if someone has Pluto intercepted in their natal chart, this can show some vacillation and distortion of the energy with the planet. The person may be in control of things in their life one moment, and then the next minute they may feel as if they're helpless and have little or no control in those issues, or may not make the efforts needed to gain control in those issues connected with whatever house Pluto may be residing in their natal chart. Now, I want to talk about Pluto unaspected. Now, if Pluto is unaspected in a natal chart, well, this could suggest that the person may isolate themselves from people that they feel, might be manipulative or might try to control them. This could also be a person. I mean, keep in mind when Pluto or any planet, is unaspected, it might not be working in the same manner as it would be as if it were aspected. So if Pluto is unaspected, well, this could be a person that might make major changes on things that don't necessarily need changing. And then what could happen is the person, if it's something significant that needs to be transformed or a major change needs to be made with it, they might just become stagnant and apathetic about it and not really make the effort to make that major change in it. So anyway, and it could also be, I mean, Pluto is about death as well. I mean, it could be somebody with Pluto unaspected, could suggest that maybe somebody close to them might pass away if something really traumatic happens, that is somebody, a death, traumatic death to somebody close to them. The person might not react that strongly, but if it's somebody is not as close, perhaps maybe they might react a little bit stronger than you would anticipate. So anyway, well, also transits by Pluto are important as well in a natal chart. Now let's say for example, that somebody has Pluto, transit Pluto in their third house in a natal chart. This could be somebody that might try to exude or exhibit a lot of power and control over someone through communication. There could be situations maybe connected with manipulation with neighbors, with siblings if applicable. In some cases, it could indicate a death of a sibling or maybe a close neighbor. Sometimes communications may be obliterated or everything but when this transit takes place. Now, I want to talk about aspects made through transits by Pluto. Now, let's take an example. Let's say transit Pluto makes an adverse aspect to one's natal Saturn in their chart. Well, this could suggest power struggles with authority figures and possibly the father even. The person may have difficulty, perhaps they might be torn between making major changes in their responsibilities. Upheavals might be a distraction and it might really take a toll on the person in the sense that it might make it harder for them to take care of their responsibilities. Sudden upheavals may conflict with responsibilities, in other words. Now, I want to talk about something else now. Let's take transit. I'll talk an example about a transit to one's natal Pluto. Now, let's say transit Venus makes a sextile or trine to one's natal Pluto. This can indicate someone you have a relationship with, may be supportive of major changes that you may make, and will help and be beneficial to you in supportive in perhaps making those changes. It could be that you get the money supplied to make those major changes or transformation in your life somehow. And it could be that also perhaps someone you have a relationship with may be supportive of you if you're dealing with any crisis or situations or upheavals in your life. Now, progressions are important as well. Let's say someone has Pluto in the 10th house in their progressed chart. Well, the person may experience maybe some obliteration or figurative death of their reputation, their public image, and their career perhaps. But keep in mind that Pluto is also about regeneration and rebirth. So those could apply to 10th house matters as well in this case. Now, I'll take another example by aspect. Let's say that in the progressed chart that Pluto is sextile or trine one's ascendant. Well, this can suggest that the person may be able to deal and adapt with any major changes really to the physical body and vitality, such as if there's any surgery or there's anything that's changed with the body, maybe that, for example, that might limit the person somehow physically. The person has a better chance, has a very good chance, I think, with this aspect in a progressed chart to actually deal with it. And also, if surgery were to take place, it has a better chance of it being auspicious during this time of this transit. So anyway, people, That'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Pluto in astrology. Stay tuned next time where I'm going to be talking about life and death in astrology. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.